everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to be playing some Rakdos Raid Sacrifice, where we are prioritizing a sacrifice game plan while using the ability of Raid along with that. We played a deck list recently that prioritized playing around this. A commenter left me a deck list. I definitely wanted to try it out that had this. And then recently I've seen a couple of lists, including Ash Sizzles, which is the primary one I go to if I'm ever like, I wonder if there's a cool sacrifice list out there, because I know that's kind of her wheelhouse and what she plays a lot of. So I typically kind of rely on looking through her list, because competitive wise and best of 3 outside of arena, you don't find them too often. So relied on that to kind of get some ideas. And this is what we kind of ran into a bit, where we got Alesha in. We got kind of her like foundation, I would say, for the deck list. So other than that, we are prioritizing making them discard a bit, but that's not the main function of the deck. We want this as a permanent on the battlefield, Clockwork Percussionist as one as well, and then the Hexmage making that extra enchantment because of the cursed is what we're really looking to do. And then playing something like this, where when it enters the battlefield, we may sacrifice an enchantment or creature. If we do, we draw 2 cards. If we sacrifice this, we manifest Dread, which is really cool. So we have a lot of these effects, like the final Vengeance here, where we can sacrifice a creature or enchantment that works well whenever you pull the cursed off, because that's like a lot of value that you want to find. So you can use that with the hex and then get in for a ton more damage. And then we have like Torch the Tower as well to go along with that. And then a Nowhere Run, turn off Hexproof, a Fear of Missing Out. Not stacked up on this because it's not super easy to turn on, but just having a 2-mana card that we can bring back and cycle and draw and loot. And if we're empty-handed playing this, we'll just put an extra card in our hand, things like that. And this is a kind of remove on sight type of card, so they have to get rid of it, along with a card like Braids that gets a lot of value out of this deck. Basically, we can sacrifice any permanent, and if they don't match us, it's not any permanent, is it? You can sacrifice artifact, creature, enchantment, land, or planeswalker. So I guess a battle's not on there, for example. But if we have this in play, we can sacrifice pretty much anything, and then our opponent has to either pay it or we get value out of it and they lose some life. And then we have kind of our final little notch above the belt here, where we get the Urabrask Forges in for control. These are free attackers overall and free sacrifice effects if we need it, because the tokens are going to die regardless. And then we have Performing Artist here, where it has Raid. If we attack this turn, they lose 3 life unless that player sacrifices a non-land permanent or chooses to discard a card. Or they can just take 3. And then we have Alesha here with has Raid that can bring back creatures from the graveyard on the end step that are equal to her power and toughness. So it can't necessarily bring back a Braids or something like that, or something equivalent to it, but it can bring back like a Searslicer Goblin that works with Raid, or like a Percussionist that works pretty well, because you want this to die pretty often anyway, because you want that extra card value. So outside of that, I'm going to go ahead and dive into the game. So I hope you all enjoy them. And if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing. Didn't have a ton of time today to play, so the video is definitely a little bit shorter than what I would like it to be. But with that said, let's just go game. Opponent going first. Unfair, but sure. Ooh. Interesting. I think I can go ahead and play this guy out. And the reason we're playing this is because I'm going to look to go for a Hopeless Nightmare into a Hexmage and put the aura on this instead. There's no reason to put it on the mage, because like, why, you know? 1 zup. Make you discard. Okay, this one. Doesn't really matter if this resolves or anything. Put the hex on this, because again, it stays a 1/1, so it doesn't really matter here. But we get to get a 1-mana 3/2 out of the deal. Cash grab. Alright, so this has to be teamer combo, I guess. So this is going to be super important to exile the Otter whenever I need to. The counter spells aren't super high, but bounce spells like Into the Flood Maw, as we saw, this card is very good. I could go for something bigger, but this kind of star's always been the teamer combo deck over anything else. Combat. Sending in the 4. Just play a normal mountain. Let's go for another Hopeless Nightmare here. Just because it does do damage. So it's not necessarily that big of a deal. And if we sacrifice one of them to the torch, we get that kind of scry anyway. We don't necessarily have to hold the mana up to do it. But Into the Flood Maw gets bounced. Impulse coming in. At some point, you got to feel like the otter stuff has to come in, or like an Up the Beanstalk or something. Unless it's just something I don't know, you know? Well, there's Analyze Pollen. I mean, they're almost 20 cards deep, and we haven't seen any of the otters, the Enduring card, the one that gets like, if it dies, it goes into kind of whatever. Go in our turn. Play another one of these. I almost feel like it's impossible for them to combo from here. Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to hold. Sure. There's one. There's Enduring Vitality. So I wasn't crazy. It is that deck. Well, I just played the Simic version, right? Like the one that's about Hottigen and stuff like that. So I kind of had a feeling that it might be that, but it's not. Well, okay. Like, I don't even feel like that was that much pressure. We just kind of like put our creatures in and attacked. Like, we played a 1/1 and then a 3/2 on turn 2 that only hit on turn 3. Like, sure, I guess. Sure, we can keep this. We can keep. Alright, gross. I'm gonna go with this first because we do have a Vengeance that can sacrifice this token. Most of the time, this is actually a Hottigen pile, but obviously we don't know that for sure. What do we have, Mr. Opponent? Now, if it is control, we do have an Urabrask Forge, which is pretty good. One. Oh, that instant resolve. So that makes me definitely feel like it's the Hottigen pile. So something like an Urabrask Forge will actually be really good here. We just have to hit the land, which is sometimes easier said than done. But oh, that's a counter spell. Maybe it's not. No, they play 3 steps ahead. Lockdown. Maybe a charter course. You gonna show me something? Come on, boss. I believe in you. Or I don't, actually. Well, there's a pass. So they obviously got rid of this, which kind of implies they have more. So I'm gonna miss out on an Urabrask trigger this turn, but I think getting these in and attacking is so much more valuable. Well, I don't know. Counter it, brother. Urabrask Forge is like a very good way to beat control, so you kind of have to ensure it resolves. And they discarded 3 steps ahead, which makes me feel like it's never resolving. Okay. Yeah. You want to interact now? Yeah, Judgment? Maybe? Which would make sense. Sure. Fine by me, brother. This one. Now we just let Urabrask Forge do his thing. If it can, of course. They do sometimes have answers for it, but Get Lost cannot because it is an artifact. You have something in your main board that deals with it. Would not surprise me, but sure. Combat. Ooh. I could cast that, but let's put like a real threatening thing out there, you know? And also when they counter it, let's just cast another one. This is only creatures, so we'll definitely get rid of it here if this resolves. What do we got? Okay, look, it's a combo deck. Exactly what we wanted. I'm not gonna walk into a Sunfall if I don't have to. And I feel like right now I just don't have to. Gonna get hit for 3 next turn with the Urabrask Forge if they don't have an answer. Cards like Farewell don't exist anymore, brother. Hey, that's a Jace. They could just mill me, barrel. They could barrel mill me, I guess. For 2 turns in a row. Yeah, that makes sense.
Our plans are beyond your comprehension.
Man, I guess I don't even care, right? Got a smite here. Sure. Braids. Sacrifice this. Don't need those. Oh boy, that's funny. So we have creature, sorcery, enchantment. At some point we want to land. So depending how they do this turn, which Sunfall obviously could be a big part of this turn. If they plus with Jace on that 2/3, it's kind of like a whatever situation. Sure. The Braids is dying. We're getting exiled, one of the two. Nice. Here. Now we're looking to pretty much overcommit, I think. Yeah. I mean, I think the idea is just to force them to use as many spells as we can, right? Even if they do, like, get rid of Braids here, for example, they're still taking 5. Could have held Braids back, I guess, but, like, still want to take 5 here. Or they have to sacrifice on land. Oh, that's what we want. What do we get here? Braids? Wouldn't that be so sick? Play this. No more lies, maybe? Target a creature. We'll sacrifice this. We'll exile that. And now we're at 42. That is 21. Another Jace at full value is 15. It's really close, right? That's not enough, though. It's close. It's very close. 36, by the way. But we have 42. So it is close. Who would have thought Urabrask Forge is a good enough card to beat Control by itself most days? I mean, I feel like you have to draw, brother. I don't know. Yeah. Sure. I don't know. These are only black mana for right now. Would you have Percussionists into this if they're like a slower deck? And we'll know that based on what they play first. They're not, by the way. I don't know if you know this, guys. Fellas. Ladies and gentlemen. They're not a slow dive. Oh boy. These sleeves are OG sleeves, by the way, if you're curious of where these came from. This was these are like the beginning of COVID sleeves. Next turn? Yeah, it's fine. These were given almost like immediately for... I feel like I have to do this, right? I mean, this is a sorcery. I feel like I have to go for it. But they gave us promo codes at the very beginning, and these were the sleeves you got for it. At the beginning of old lovely lockdown, as I assume everybody had a great time with. Obviously, I'm lying. Huh. Okay. Thankfully, we find like a source that isn't going to end up killing us. You can take one of their cards away. I guess I'll just play this for now. Oh, that's actually bad EV. But I kind of want the card more than anything. Like, it would be better to play this because it was more mana efficient. Well, that tells us they don't have a spell, so I'm blocking. I mean, realistically, if we get to stay at 15, I feel pretty good. It's just whether or not we'll actually get to kind of figure it out from here. Well, I wonder what I'm playing. Playing out Braids. Weird champ. Red player that was actually patient. That's crazy. Oh, this red player is patient. Who is this? Don't. Well, okay. I could stop hitting lands too. That'd be pretty cool. Well, okay. Well, we have an answer, and the land's got to go to the bottom. I mean, we have two answers. Oh, one of these creatures has to stay alive. That's tough. Yeah, because they haven't paid this yet. And they only did that. Brutal. Brutal. On. I think we just gotta do that now. They'd give any other creature haste regardless. Land. We can go bar for bar now, brother. I don't know. I got this. They have spell, maybe. I'm not attacked, so... Yeah, I think you have to go upstairs. You have too many spells that deal 2 damage not to go upstairs. Yeah. That's tough. It is what it is, though. It's just one of the epitomes of, like, being on the draw. I feel like we just don't get hesitated that hard. Like, we get to play the Hopeless Nightmare first. And then sack it and like target things and things like that. But it's just weird. Oh well. Yeah, it's fine. I mean, it's a lot of removal. Maybe it's not that fine. But I just have a way to sack the enchantment off this guy. So I feel fine with it. And then we have like really good cards to lean into. Fire this off. Hit for 1. Pass. Tech. Could draw a tap land, so I'm kind of waiting here. It's my goal. Play this other source, and then we'll pass. This gives us a really... Well, I was like, Arena, hello? It gives us a really good attack here, though. Do not need another land right now. Need, like, anything but that. Instant sorcery, land in hand. Fire this off. And I'm actually going to go ahead and play this. Because you never know where we're at. And against this, deadly cover-up is definitely possible. But it's a lot of pressure to put in right away. Sure. Nowhere to run. Just continue the aggressive streak here. That does come back, but I mean, comparatively, we don't really care. On the 5. And now I have a sack outlet for this. And then our removal is going to look good. Obviously, we drew the fear of missing out to get us out, if that's the problem. Also, dude, what a combo play, bro. Obviously, the 4th one's not near as good, but... Maelstrom Pulse. Oh, okay. Like, I still have 5, just so we're aware. But, oh boy. The opponent is indeed first. I mean, I do play a lot of removal. I hopefully can just draw, I guess. And they mulligan, so I feel fine. Just because if they're like a little bit of a slower deck, I feel like our hand's very aggressive. So, might be enough. Blue. Speaking of removal. Hit for 1. We're going crazy. Absolutely nuts. Worming Emergence. Okay. That's all we needed to, that's all we needed to see. Gross. We play here. This, I guess. In this matchup, I think being super aggressive matters more. And having this 3-2 ready for next turn seems good. Veil, sure. That's a lot of life linkers that I don't have the, like, appropriate way to deal with. No creature in there. These attack, and then we play this. What do you say, Valgavoth? 'Cause I feel like we're dead. Just tokens don't matter either. Okay, sweet. I mean, I guess we're kind of hopeful. Let me just wait. I know using the Final Vengeance might have been a bit like aggressive, but I'm just hoping to find another, you know. That's gaining life. That's unfair. That's called cheating. And they now can play one. Will they play one? Or they just cycle? 5, 6, 7. Kind of like half their life total. Let's card this. Like, the Hexmage matters, but it like doesn't at the same time, right? Sweet. Hexmage. That creature can have it. Play a Braids. And they cannot stop. Now it's just reanimate Valgavoth and I lose the video game. I think. Unless I get really lucky, of course. Which could happen. But I doubt it. It is weird, like, they bring back Valgavoth and we just kind of have to wait. And we just have to sack tokens. Or even, I guess we'd sacrifice the Clockwork, maybe. Sure. We get rid of the Braids, making them maybe think it's the worst card, but realistically, worst card. It kind of is at the same time. I don't know. They have land drop to make, and they play a prankster. Does not matter to me at all. All right, I think that's gonna chalk it up. They take 5 here regardless. Then, like, even if they do bring something back, the Braids can sacrifice something that they can't afford to sacrifice. Maybe. I guess I can, yeah, because I can just do an enchantment. So we'll see what happens. What's up, brother? Lock out 3, 2. Like, you know you have to. 5. Hopeless Nightmare. Also, we don't... I feel like playing Braids is a bad decision, weirdly. This one. Even a torch would be perfect because we can torch the creature that they try to block with a Valgavoth. Oh, there it is. Nice. The only problem is what we said was going to happen will happen here, I think. If they Squirming Emergence out of Valgavoth, and we have this Braids in play, we just sacrifice the enchantment, and then they cannot pay the cost, and they lose the game. The only real thing I can think of is they need to reanimate a Traxa, and then hope to hit removal for Braids. Which they do not find. Okay, buddy. You can't lose the game and your opponent can't win. My bad, dog. Yeah, so they went for it. I just don't think they have the card for it. Yeah, tap land. This one. All right. Cool. Oh boy, had to stop the recording because my webcam decided to black out. So nice, we're here now, having maybe a good time. I have no idea. We have the Hopeless Nightmare right into a Mirth, so that seems pretty good. Cool. That means it's just like immediately like a draw / look at 4. We don't get to look first. We have to draw first because you have to finish resolving the Mirth ability. Tiny Bones, disgusting. So I feel like if I had to think that this was any deck whatsoever, this is a permanent or a creature. Ew. I think this is skeletons. I don't want to sack this because I don't want them to be able to cast it for free. So I have to kind of like do my nowhere to run here. Oh, look, they're already doing it for me. This is this. And cast that one. I intentionally did a 2-mana card. I'm going to take the 1 and I'm going to remove this on the instep because I don't want them to be able to play a second one here. It's just like the weird thing, like if you wait. Why did I do that? Now I'm annoyed. I should have done it first. That's kind of annoying. I meant to do it the other way. Like, the reason I should have done it what is going on? Hello? Like something on my mouse pad, and every time I move my mouse, it like scrapes on it. What? Happening? Like, I'm trying to talk and I feel like scraping like on my wrist, and I'm like, dude, what is actually going on? We play this so we don't have to take damage for playing this Mirth. Got to find something, but I meant to remove this, like remove the Tiny Bones in response to this, because then they would have to put the 1/1 on that. I would like to scry and everything. There's a torch, so I can get rid of it regardless. Now there's a couple of cards. I think the only one I really care about is the Goblin, though. Let's bring up our 3/2. Or 2/1. That's their 3/2, my 2/1. And this mouse thing's got me all sorts of messed up. I'm gonna pass for right now. I can draw this Goblin on their end step so we can kind of like take away the summoning sickness by doing Torch the Tower, sacrificing this onto the 3/2, which will then bring up a creature, which we'll lose the other one, but maybe it'll be a land and we'll be happy about that. So it's a small thing. I have hay in my sleeve as well. I had to move a lot of hay recently, and it's in my sleeve, and every time he's poking me, and I'm not having fun with that. Opponent, are you good? No? Okay, we'll be back. Okay, well, I think it's gonna make him concede. I have no idea. It might come back to my turn. Oh, very cool. All right, I wanted to play a lot more games with this deck, but I didn't quite have the time to do it. And we recently played Rakdos deck that kind of focused around playing this one mainly. And then I seen a couple of sacrifice lists come out. Mainly Ash Shizzle's deck list comes to mind because she's pretty big on the sacrifice style decks. So typically when it comes to like looking at builds like that, I trust their opinion on it when it comes to those lists. So we kind of inspired from that, and then what we were playing previously with kind of playing Alesha and then like the artists and things like that, and then using a card like Urabrask Forge just kind of in the main to kind of trigger everything is so nice. Even if we don't necessarily have like a ton of value off this, I think just cycling through the Clockwork is good enough, or just bring back the fear of missing out as a threat, or even the Goblin overall as well. So I think it's like fine in this deck. I do think if there was a card to cut, this would probably actually be it, because there was too many times that I felt like other cards were just doing more on the board than this ever could. And especially like maybe having one of these on an end step in a spot that was pretty tight might close the game out a bit quicker. Having an additional Urabrask Forge potentially against some of these kind of control decks would be nice. And then maybe even after all that, just like maybe playing like a sack effect if we go against like Reanimator like we did, having like Shieldred's Edict and things like that would be pretty nice. Or just ways to maybe exile graveyard effects overall, because Black does have a few of those, but not like a ton. So with that said, that's all the time I have. It's definitely going to be a little bit more of a rush one. I have to do some overtime tomorrow at work, so I don't have a ton of time to film and then record and edit and all that stuff. So yeah, that's going to be it. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.